July the 7th, 2024. Guys, you're looking at the current information about Hurricane Beryl or Tropical Storm Beryl. It is expected to re-strengthen into a hurricane before it comes to shore. Now, excuse a lot of these markers. These are the paths on my Google map that were programmed out from their information. Right now, this is where Beryl is at. Right there, chugging along 60 miles an hour. We'll look at the data on it. They're expecting it to continue to turn this afternoon, turn a little more to the north around 1 p.m. Then Monday at 1 a.m., in other words, tonight after midnight, for you folks in Houston, it's expected to turn almost due north. And I think that sudden quick turn will have a lot to do with the friction of the counterclockwise rotation as the winds start to hit the shore in this area. It always does it. It did it in Hurricane Michael. But once you get that friction going, it's like a reverse saw blade. It's going to roll this way, and that's what we're seeing. By Monday at 1 p.m., the storm is setting here. Now, what's bad about the map, Houston, you already know. You're in the northeast quadrant. Any further shifting to the right, it's just going to increase the problems you're having. The reason I say that is the storm is small. It's compact, but it's powerful. It's just a tropical storm now, 60 miles per hour. I get that. But you've got a lot of things going to be happening. Right here at the north turn, the final turn before it comes ashore, it's 1 a.m. now. As it gets closer to 7 a.m., that's high tide here and in Galveston Bay. So you're going to have to be aware of that. They're talking about maybe 3 to 5 foot storm surge. High tide brings it about 2.7 feet above normal. And then whatever waves you have on top of that. So you've got about a 7-foot possible raise as far as the storm surge plus high tide, then the waves. So you figure on that where you're going to tie off your boats or where you're at. Make sure you're not in real low-lying areas without any way to get out of there. Let me back it out again. Here we go. The coloration gets much clearer to see right there, isn't it? Again, here's our storm setting off in the deep water. These are the salt domes you've heard much about here. Then coming up into the shallower water. And as it rises, it's just like a tsunami. Everything pushing in front of this storm gets into shallower waters, and it causes a storm surge to increase, right? So that's what we're going to be dealing with mostly is I think the most damage will be done by water this time. You may have some power outages due to high winds taking down some lines and things like that. But this flooding and the water pushing in is going to, I think, will be the most damaging aspect of the storm where it's coming ashore. Now, as you can see, the greater Houston area is in the cone. You see that? So if it's here again, that's the northeast quadrant. This is going to come up and turn back to the northeast. So all you folks north of Houston, be aware that Tomball got relatives there. And I remember when I was a kid, guys, this was way out in the country. They had moved from Houston to Tomball. Now it's kind of part of the metro complex, it looks like. Anyway, watch out in that area. Everybody in Galveston Bay, watch out for this. I'm going to show you a couple of webcams, guys, and just show you that it's dark offshore. The waves are steady. They're not strong yet. And it looks like the tide is out right now. Now, this is Galveston, and the camera is somewhat glitching right now. I'll give you a few of these images, and then it will move. It could be the wind or something like that. I'm not sure. But it's just steady, wave after wave. Nothing big and strong. You just saw it change again. But notice it looks like the tide is out. See how much area here is uncovered? But the pressure from the storm has still got the water higher and closer to the seawall right there. And so this is what's going on all the way from here down to Brownsville. It looks almost identical. But off to your right, Galveston and Houston area, this is what you're going to be dealing with right there. Now let's go down to the seawall cam. You can see what's going on. You've got your flags, warning flags up. Pretty windy, guys. Again, I think the tide is out right now. That's why this is not closer to the seawall. It's kind of fighting the tide going out and the pressure of the storm coming in. But this will more than likely go downhill all through today Overnight, this is where you're going to be waiting for that eye to come ashore. In possible Cat 1. Don't know if it can make it to a Cat 2 or not. We don't even know exactly how quickly it will strengthen into a Cat 1 right now. It's early in the day, and you got a lot of cloud cover. Let's go to the other end of Texas, down south. This is South Padre Island, the La Copa Inn Beach Hotel. It's from enjoyspi.com, guys, South Padre Island. And you're getting some sunshine. I noticed this earlier when I was checking the camera. It had went from the cloudiness and complete overcast that you saw in Galveston to this, and that's good. You see a couple of folks out here on the beach, and the storm is out here in this area, moving to the left of this image, moving north and northwest. But guys, it looks worse in Galveston than it does here. So if it stays on this track, Padre Island, this may be all you get. That would be a good thing, right? Everyone needs some moisture, and I think you possibly got some outer band rains overnight. I know we did here in central Mississippi. I'm not complaining about a drop of rain this year, not after last year. I'll just have to suck it up and wipe a lot of wet puppies off when they come in and go play. But I'm not going to complain about water. Thank you, Father, for the water. Now, this is the Queen Isabella Memorial Bridge down there, guys, and it looks like everything's open. You know, in bad storms, they'll close this off, but you're just on the storm is almost due east of you, maybe a little northeast. I just wanted to take a look along the Texas coast. Maybe this is pulling the storm out of your area now, and maybe that's why you're seeing some of the sunshine. Now, looking at the entire nation, the big picture is the heat. You've got California fires out there, and you've got heat warnings across the nation. We're getting somewhat of a break. Right over us now, where we live, is some of the outbanding of the storm. See that? And it's overcast here. It's keeping it cooler. And like I said, we had some moisture, and it's just a much more pleasant day. Now, I'm going to have to warn you, though, the high pressure that's setting in after this storm is going to drop right down on a lot of humidity, and it can get very uncomfortable. The problem with that is, and I don't think you'll have that much problems with this storm, but they have taken out the power for a couple weeks down here. And if you didn't have solar panels or generators, you were pretty much out of luck for water or electricity. It was hot, too, after Katrina came through. But here again, our storm in the Gulf. It looks like it wants to pull into South Texas, but the tracks are pushing it north right to here, just to the left of the Houston area. We're going to take a little closer look at it. Now, close up of the visible images from this satellite. Here's your storm, Tropical Storm Beryl. The last report I saw was 60 mile per hour sustained wind, 74 is a Cat 1. And the last few frames here, you can definitely see, even though the wobble looks like it's getting closer to shore, the last few rotations here, or the last few frames of this circulation, show a northward pull. So it looks like the track is getting very accurate, guys. And any more to the right, Houston, you will take a direct impact. Even though you're in the worst part, the northeast quadrant, the storm is compact. And the tropical force winds don't go out that far. Neither will the hurricane winds go out that far if it becomes a Cat 1. So the closer it gets to you, the more damage it will do. Again, it's not a Cat 3 or Cat 4, but they named them hurricanes for a reason. And one thing about it is that it's not pulling a lot of moisture in behind it at this point. So once it goes through, it may dry up fairly quickly. Now, this is the other system coming into the Northern Caribbean that they've been watching. I don't know what it's going to do yet. Everything's been focused on Beryl. And looking at the infrared, you can tell where the moisture is right around the core right now. You've got the outer bands, I can see that, but see how this is wrapping around that core? That's an indication of strengthening and the pressure getting lower. You may have a Cat 1. We're going to watch it, though. And, guys, you've watched them in Houston, Texas. If you've lived there for very long, many of them. So your local stations, keep an eye on those. They're going to have your local radar. Of course, BP Earthwatch has all the links. National Hurricane Center, Fox Hurricane, National Weather Service. Any kind of weather-related information that you need is there, plus a ton of other links. But anyway, guys, again, north movement with a slight tilt to the west. Not a lot. So Houston definitely in the gun here. But guys on the Sabine Pass, right here on the Louisiana and Texas border, keep an eye on this. It's very low lying in this entire area. Now, this is the National Weather Service, not the Hurricane Center. Look at the heat build up here, guys, and the color coding is here. You've got heat warnings, extreme heat warnings, heat watches, and that continues all the way through New Mexico, down into this corner of Texas, and all the way through Florida, guys. It's even here south of us in Louisiana and a couple of our counties just below us in Mississippi. Again, count your blessings for this rain and this overcast. Right now, we're still below 100 degrees, and that's a blessing for this time of the year. We've seen it much hotter. But what you've got here in the darker maroon, these are tropical storm warnings. But notice the shore. It gets a little redder. That is hurricane warning. See that right there? So they're expecting it, and they don't want you to be caught off guard. So don't be caught off guard. Then you've got flash flood warnings, flash flood watches all through this area, and they're exactly right on this right here, because the storm comes up right here in the Houston area. It's going to bring a lot of rain with it. But watch for this flood area. I've watched them a long time to move up through the Appalachian pathway right here as it continues to come ashore and bring moisture with it. I did point out that it is at this point is not pulling a lot of back moisture, and so there's the Huskies playing. But so that may help that. But we need the rain. We don't want to wash anybody's house away. Now, this update has been out, guys, about 15 minutes or so, and what we're seeing now is Beryl has increased in speed from 60 to 65 miles per hour. See that right there? It's moving northwest at 9 knots or 10 miles an hour. Still slow. It's got time to stay over the warm water and gain strength. It's a good thing the hurricane warnings are out, because in the last few hours, again, into these warm waters, it has increased by 5 miles per hour. Now, it has time, because at 74 again, you're at a Cat 1. It has that much time to reform. Quick look at our peak storm surge forecast. The yellow, that's the highest area that goes down to Baffin Bay, but all the way to the mouth of the Rio Grande. And we were just looking at some webcams down south. You got 1 to 3 feet above normal, and that's above sea level. That's not including the tide. Then yellow 2 to 4 feet up to Corpus Christi. Then it increases to 3 to 5 feet. Now in Matagorda Bay, it's going to be pushing water in 4 to 6 feet, plus high tide, right? Plus the waves. 3 things you got to figure in there. This goes all the way up to the Sabine Pass, 3 to 5 feet in Galveston Bay. I expect this to go higher, simply because now the storm is tracking there, and that northeast quadrant is going to push wind and water up into the Bay Area. That seashore island, was it Sand Beach Island, that we saw flooded with the first tropical storm that went into Mexico? Remember that, guys? That is more than likely going to happen again. The storm is not that big, but it's going to be much closer to you. The 1 to 3 feet warnings go all the way from the Sabine Pass to the Rockefeller Wildlife Refuge. Now you can see there's hurricane warnings up for much of that section of the coast that we were just watching, the 3 to 5 up to 6 foot surge. And this is the size of the tropical force wind field right there. So wherever this eye is, it's most of the storm is to the right. See that? So, and that's what's going to be going through the Houston Sabine Pass area. But they're expecting it again to become a hurricane. That's why this is up. This is at 10 a.m. Central Time, so it is 10 minutes old, this report. So, guys, this is what we'll be dealing with right here. This is going to be the problem area, and that's kind of matches this red area. I'm just afraid that you're going to have a little more northerly track straight up through here, and that's going to shift this red line back over to at least central Louisiana, maybe further, and back up into Texas also. So keep your eyes on this today. We're going to update it later, but it's going to come in overnight into early morning. So today you need to have everything in order before you call it a day, right? Because you're going to wake up to this mess if you don't without being prepared. Now, this is also the 10 a.m. update for Sky Tower down in Florida, but now they are on Eastern time, so they're an hour ahead of us, showing a Cat 1 coming ashore right there. But notice the new tracks is not on this 10 a.m. update because we just saw it, and this band or the yellow area where it could go covers Houston, right? So this is moving just a little further north than in this map. 80-mile or 85-mile-per-hour winds. So it's going to have a little bit of kick to it, guys. Don't let your guard down. I know we've been watching it for a couple of weeks, but right now is not the time to take your eyes off of it. Now I'm just going to step through the Navy model. This is the 7th. That's early this morning. Storm's here. You'll see it intensify, and you'll see the path go forward with it as it gets dark blue in the center. That's probably about when that Cat 1 is going to start forming. Right there. And see this right section, and that's Galveston Bay right there at it. Moves right up. Arkansas, this is just going to be tropical depression, tropical wave by this point, guys, but maybe some much needed rain. But here's the dreaded heat setting back in under this high pressure zone. But guys, we're watching it, you watch it, just keep your batteries charged up on your phone, things like that, in case you need some communication. Maybe the road's flooded, you can't get out or something like that. Have all of that prepared. Make sure your gas tanks are topped off. It's a heads up. Be safe.